Ennio's eyes latched onto the smooth, sharp steel. "Ennio," he said, letting the word roll around on his tongue as he slid his fingers along the flat of the knife. "A good, strong Italian name for such a coward." He let that sink in as he began to slowly pace the length of the basement. So dark, so quiet, so hidden in the bowels of the glitzy high-rise casino in the middle of Manhattan. Down here, no one could hear you scream, which was about to come in handy. Once again, Dom's eyes caught on the blood staining the sleeve of his shirt. It was custom-made Versace, the only kind he deigned to wear, and the fact that a Fiore had been the one to spoil such a masterpiece made his blood boil. If the man didn't prove useful, Dom was going to especially enjoy this. Still pacing, Dom flipped the knife up in the air, easily catching the handle. "Ennio, I'm afraid my patience is running out. But I'm a reasonable man. I'll give you one more chance to tell me what I want to know." "For the last time, I don't know nothing." Ennio's lies cut off with a scream that echoed off the walls as Dom stabbed the knife into his right hand, so deep that the steel anchored itself to the chair, pinning Ennio in place as he wailed. But that wasn't the only weapon Dom carried on him, and as he reached down for another knife, he thought of all the ways he'd make this piece of shit suffer. He was taking a step toward Ennio, about to go to work, when the door to the basement slammed open. Dom turned his head to see who dared interrupt him. When Tony Borelli, one of his men, stepped inside, his eyes flicked to Ennio whimpering behind him. Dom let out a frustrated sigh and tilted Ennio's head up with the tip of the knife. "So sorry for the interruption, but maybe this will give you a second to think about what is going to happen to you if you continue to lie to me. Capisci?" Dom walked over to Tony, his fingers tightening around the hilt of the knife as he tried to curb the adrenaline coursing through him. It was difficult to rein in the hellfire once it was unleashed. As he tried to tamp down the sudden, insatiable urge for violence, Dom barked. "What?" Hate to interrupt this little getting-to-know-you moment you're having, but we've got some news." Dom ground his molars together as he followed Tony out into the hall, his silence conveying loud and clear that Tony should hurry up and continue talking if he wanted to keep breathing. "So that lab guy we have on payroll, he's here." "Here? As in—" "Joe!" Tony called out over his shoulder to his twin brother, and Joe the Bull Morelli meandered around the corner, his meaty hand gripping the elbow of a skinny nerd in a tweed jacket. It was clear to anyone around which one the lab guy was. "This better be good." "Oh, it is. You're gonna want to see this, boss." Joe shoved the lab guy forward. "Show him." The guy reached into the pocket of his jacket and pulled out a folded piece of paper, his hand shaking as he held it out to Dom. The hall fell silent as Dom looked at the document. This was what they'd been waiting for. "You found him." Joe and Tony stepped up behind the shaking scientist and nodded. "We did." Dom neatly refolded the piece of paper and went to step around the three men, his mind recalculating, focusing on what he should do next as he walked away. Then Tony called out, making him pause. "What should we do with Ennio?" "Keep him alive." Dom turned to leave. "And can one of you retrieve my knife? It was a gift from my father. I'd like it back." Chapter 2. It was a breezy fall day in New Haven, Connecticut, when Luca Davis stepped out of the Sterling Hall of Medicine building, his eyes glued to the paper he held in his hands. He skimmed through the instructions, flipped the page to get to the good stuff, and grinned when he saw the first word listed on the schedule. "Heads up!" he heard someone yell out just before he jolted to a stop. Someone gripped his arms from behind, holding him back from slamming into the group of people headed up the stairs in his direction. When they passed, Luca turned around to see Silas, one of his classmates, shaking his head, a smirk on his face. "You can't be head of the class if you get trampled to death by a bunch of newbies."